Hello and a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me in the studio is my colleague Varghese P. Abraham. And what we're essentially up to every day in the morning at 9:30 is to take a look at the overnight developments. What are some of the top headlines in all newspapers saying, Hindi newspapers, the English newspapers, the national, what are some of the regional stories, what's trending on Twitter, and take a look at what's happening on the tabloids as the internet comes up with the latest updates and headlines as well. We've got a lot to cover today. The wrestlers have continued on with their protest. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, he's in Manipur. The couple of changes in revisions in textbooks as well, Varghese. We'll take a look at some sporting developments. I was reading a really cool story about the artificial intelligence chatbots that may be fun to sound, but they seem to be having a drinking problem. And also, our neighbor, China, has sent their first civilian to space. So essentially a lot to decode. But in the meantime, since we're making this bid, we're making the effort of trying to move away from the newsroom, make our editorial meets as close, bring them as close to you, the viewers, the people who we do this for, to bring you closer to those editorial meets. You must help us to get down in the comment sections below, really help us understand what you're thinking, what's going on inside your mind. If there's anything that you'd like us to do across the day today, do let us know, even as we decode what we're going to end up doing throughout the day when it comes to TV journalism and online broadcast. At the same time, Varghese, it seems like the first thing that one has to look at is the fact that the Home Minister is in Manipur. It's great to see that the government is taking swift steps now. The Congress, on the other hand, saying that, of course, are politicizing the event. And who's to blame them? It seems like every political party has made it a point to politicize everything. The Congress says that you should have done this way sooner, but Amit Shah was in Karnataka, in his blitzkrieg in the run-up to the Karnataka elections. But Amit Shah, the Home Minister, he is in Manipur. 9 peace meetings have taken place. Violence is on the ebb in Manipur. It's dwindling, it's certainly dying down. He has reached out to the Meitei and the Kuki groups, the both sides, and according to the CDS, ethnic conflict is not insurgency related.
Well,
so a lot of things have happened
are there. In fact,
in just the one day that he's been there.
Yes, a lot, and it's, as I told you yesterday, it was really a power-packed meeting that he was having. 9 peace meetings are there, and also very interestingly, my eyes actually fell on, I think there was an interesting take on how the peace meetings were in fact being carried out as well. I was also looking that it was a lot of thought has gone to this peace meetings in Manipur. Especially one, of course, we were talking about the kin of Manipur violence victims to get rupees 10 lakh as compensation is the amount that has been announced. And it is being that so far 80 people have been killed since clashes between Kukis and Meiteis erupted on May 3rd. Although no casualties were reported on Tuesday, sources said that the situation in the state remains tense with sporadic violence being reported from some parts. So that is something that is being reported in that particular article. Also, I have looked at the Indian Express and they have in fact spoken about how important Shah's meeting is, that he says that Shah asked the groups in Manipur to keep the peace for 15 days so that some kind of talks can happen. So this is what I was trying to say, that you hold on to the peace, let some confidence building measures come in, and probably Amit Shah is looking at that same kind of a peace negotiation that we've been discussing about, because that is what normally all these peace, especially when you go into a place that has seen violence, this is the first thing that most of the, so he's getting the right advice on that as well. So some of the demands, as I said, have also come up. So tribal leaders are seeking the president's rule and separate administration. Imposition of president's rule in Manipur and creation of separate administration for tribals are among the key demands from the tribal leaders who met Union Home Minister Amit Shah in Chuchandpur district on Tuesday. Now that is where technically we can say is the epicenter of it.
Yeah,
so
that's
Shah
where
has, in fact,
sort
gone
of
to the ground.
kind of began, or at least limelight on Manipur came via Churachandpur. Families of civilians killed will get rupees 10 lakh each, along with a government job as part of a compensation package that has been drawn up by the Union Home Minister himself in consultation with the N. Biren Singh government. I'm just trying to understand if all of this happened within a span of, let's say, 30 hours since the Home Minister touched down in Imphal. Why couldn't the Chief Minister, N. Biren Singh, who hails from the area, who hails from the state, understands the regional dynamics at play better, could do something like this. I mean, these are some stern steps. We can see Kuldeep Singh over there, conduct that meeting, all the army personnel, servicemen looking at it. There were also visuals of Amit Shah sitting at the center, and both the groups, them coming out in proper rooms in a civilized manner, having a proper conversation. Why couldn't the Chief Minister, N. Biren Singh, come up with something like that?
Well, that in fact speaks a volume of a lot of things that have happened that have gone wrong in that state. So we don't know what that could have led to. That is why we have the Union Home Minister in the state, and he's in fact holding the meetings along with Biren Singh. But let me bring to your attention also to the 12th page in the Hindu, and there's a very interesting article that is there, which says, while the Chief Minister was present in meetings in Imphal, he did not accompany Mr. Shah to the hill region of Churchandpur. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Home Affairs has deputed, Mr. Shah will travel to Moreh and to meet the tribal groups on Wednesday, that's today. And meanwhile, the Ministry of Home Affairs has deputed Rajiv Singh, who is currently posted as Inspector General, Central Reserve Police Force to Manipur, and Manipur DG P. Dongel is set to superannuate the next month. So it is likely that Mr. Singh will replace him for the top job as well. So a lot of bureaucratic changes also happening, and you can see that the Chief Minister did not accompany Shah when he was going to Churchandpur, the epicenter of this entire ethnic clash.
I mean, you're talking about confidence, and you have your own Chief Minister that isn't visiting the hill region.
Well, that is
You've
for
got
me,
the people
that's
in the
the
hills.
first thing.
You got the people in the
hills.
hills.
When I saw that, as you rightly pointed out, when I saw that sentence in this article, that was the first thing that came to light. That when he did not accompany Amit Shah to the hills, it shows that there is a huge trust deficit, and plus, probably Amit Shah or the advisors would have said that as of now they shouldn't aggravate the situation in the hills with Biren Singh visiting the hills at now. So they probably would have taken it, and probably even security factors.
And that's the word, that's the demand coming from the people of the hills, the Kukis and the Nagas, the tribal people essentially, saying that the Chief Minister is clearly siding with the Metis. And you had the one chance to accompany the Home Minister. Maybe it's easy for me to say, sitting here in the studio, but it just feels like the Chief Minister should have gone with the Home Minister, lent some sort of confidence, exerted some sort of showcase, some sort of confidence, moving in and about the hill region. Now, this balm by the Home Minister, the 10 lakh rupees for the cane of the dead, as a compensation. There's a government job on the cards as well. Do you think this balm is going to be effective?
Well, see, you cannot in fact determine the cost of a person's death, but this is a measure that the government is taking to ensure that there is some kind of, at least on the personal level for the person, some kind of that loss is taken care of. But I mean, you cannot replace the person who's died in that particular clashes, but it is a part, the government is trying to in fact ensure that there is some ground for peace, there is some ground of to break the cycle of violence. So these measures have been put in place, and it is an important measure that has been put in place. Let me read some of the things that, as you had pointed out. Now, this article from the Indian Express, Kin of Manipur violence victims to get rupees 10 lakh. In the same article, it says that the 10 lakh thing has been announced, and also sources said that the state and the center will make 50-50 contribution to the compensation. So, and also adding that the proposal to provide a job to each of the families that lost member is also on the table. Now, so again, they have maintained how the compensation package will be divided between the state as well as the center. So it's a 50-50 contribution that we are in fact looking at in this as well. But it is something that we have to give in as fast as possible. Also, some of the interesting things that I've maintained. Shah also met civil society organization in Imphal, and he said that there has been a fruitful discussion with all the civil society members in Imphal. They expressed their commitment to peace, and he also tweeted earlier, which is to say that...
I mean, Varghese, just to play the devil's advocate here, the civil society organization was welcoming Amit Shah even before he had touched down in Imphal. I mean, they won't have any negative things to say about anything happening in Manipur, it seems. But importantly, even as the wrestlers are, delaying their immersion, there are wrestlers and athletes from Manipur itself. I mean, there are 13 Padma and Arjuna awardees, including Mirabai Chanu. I mean, what she's done for the country is impeccable already. She said, will return medals if state's integrity is violated. This is a warning coming from 13 Padma and Arjuna awardees that are hailing from Manipur.
Well, this question has always been there. What is the solution to the ethnic clashes in Manipur without having to deal with the breaking of the territorial integrity of Manipur? So, territorial integrity of Manipur is something that cannot be negotiated. What can be carried out with a process to pacify the people in the hills would be to give them autonomy or a hill council as from other things like a separate administration as they've been demanding. But there have been fundamental organizations within the hill people who are demanding for a complete different state. Now that is something that a lot of Meiteis have opposed, and also to a large extent the centre also doesn't seem to be interested to play with the territorial integrity of Manipur. But within the the possibility of setting up these tribal council, autonomous councils, there are already 10 of those already functioning in the northeast. It has with a 5-year term, it has got responsibility, it has issues, issues in the sense it looks into issues of governance. All those things are possible. So on a local level, it is possible to carry on with that kind of an autonomous thing without hurting the integrity of Manipur.
Well, it says that these athletes, they requested the centre to protect Manipur's unity, saying any attempt to break the state is not acceptable to them and the people. In a memorandum submitted to Union Home Minister Amit Shah at Raj Bhavan in Imphal, the sports icons have said that Kuki terrorists have been challenging the state's integrity by killing people and burning houses, despite deployment of central security forces in the states. Kuki terrorists, quote unquote, by the way. They alleged that the central forces were not preventing the militants from attacking innocent civilians. Also, at the same time, aside and apart from the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna and the Padma Shri recipient Mirabai Channu and Arjuna awardee Sarita Devi, the memorandum was signed by weightlifter and Dhyanchand awardee L. Anita Channu, who's a weightlifter, and Padma Shri N. Kunjarani Devi, who's a Padma Shri and Arjuna award-winning footballer, Oinam Bembem, and Olympic weightlifters and several other Arjuna awardees as well. The other signatories are Arjuna awardees in Wushu M. Bimjolit and Sandhya Rani Devi and Sanathoi Devi. So all prime names, they've all signed this memorandum. They don't want Manipur to be divided, even as people of the hills want a separate administration. People saying that a mental and a physical one has already happened, a political one has already happened, a physical one sort of needs to happen now.
Well, I said, let's keep the emotion low. Let's keep the emotion low. Let's see how practically we can do. I've been also saying that in the long term, please understand that Manipur is the gateway for India's trade with Southeast Asia.
Absolutely.
So there is a huge plan in place. Have trust, have faith in what is going to happen. All of you are going to benefit from it. Nobody is going to be left out of it. This aberration that has happened, I know from here it is going to be very difficult for a lot of people because this is going to have long-term generational memories. But the way forward is through dialogue and peace, and that's why the Home Minister has in fact had 9 peace meetings back to back, is taking stock of the entire situation on the ground. He is in fact visiting the hills as well as visiting places where the violence has hit. He is on the ground up and running to ensure that there is peace in the whole state.
Also, the Chief of Defence Staff is over there
The CDS is also there, and the CDS is also looking at the operations.
He says insurgency has nothing to do with Manipur violence.
Well, when you pointed out, that's a very important statement.
Interestingly, if calm does not return soon to the valley, then a lot of boots that have been deployed, their focus is going to be on Manipur when it should be, or some of it should be diverted, and their attention should remain on the LAC as well.
As of now, we know that we have a very belligerent northern neighbor in China, and of course we have to have the correct number of troops in those areas. And China has had this quote-unquote way of trying to create trouble in the northeast by supporting militant groups, getting involved in some of the skirmishes as well, trying to
You
prop
just
up
can't keep your eyes off
insurgency.
them. I mean,
You can't
you
keep your
blink
eyes
and
yes.
they've taken an extra
Yes.
step.
So now, but at the moment, it looks like the army is in control of things. They have they moved out of Manipur in 2020, and the entire thing has been put out by the Hindu as well on that particular issue. I'm just going to those pages where they have, as what you have mentioned, clashes in Manipur, nothing to do with counter-insurgency is what he's saying. It's an ethnic issue that is there. And at
This
the
coming
same
from
time,
Anil Chauhan,
Anil
the Chief
Chauhan,
of
the
Defence Staff.
CDS. No, it is very important that Manipur remains peaceful as well. Then we have the Indian Express also saying Manipur challenge not over, will take some time is what the CDS is saying. Says army withdrew from the state in 2020 given problem along the northern border, which we are in reference to China creating trouble along there. Let me read some of the lines in this article, very interesting article. On Chinese People's Liberation Army's deployment along the borders, General Chauhan said that resolving the border issue is a different thing. The immediate aim is to go back to your claim lines, he said. We have been able to do that in all places except two places, that is Demchok and Depsang. Now, the serious remarks on the situation in Manipur came at a time when Union Home Minister Amit Shah is on a visit to assess the situation in the northeastern Indian state, where clashes have broken sporadically between members of Kuki and Meitei communities over the past several weeks. So, he has said that the Assam Rifles have done an excellent job and may have saved a large number of lives. This is what the CDS has in fact also said in that article as it's been quoted by him. He also said the challenges in Manipur have not disappeared. This is very important. The challenges in Manipur have not disappeared. It will take some time. Hopefully, this will settle and the state government will be able to do the job with the help of the CAPF, that is the paramilitary, Central Armed Police Forces, etc. And the armed forces should be back looking at the challenges at the northern border, which have not disappeared. So we have a strategic issue over there, and the CDS is in fact being very practical about how the army is looking into the situation in Manipur, and that their duty after restoring immediately should be heading towards the northern border. So it looks like strategically it is not good that the army spends a lot of time in Manipur, and that the functions of the army right now should be slowly taken over by the CAPF. Also,
well, just right to this particular blurb about insurgency having to do nothing with the Manipur violence coming from the Chief of Defence Staff. Just right next to it, differing from the Chief of Defence Staff, and I'm reading this out, Anil Chauhan's assertion that Manipur unrest is an ethnic clash, nothing to do with insurgency. A PIL filed in the Supreme Court on Tuesday said the border state is witnessing cross-border narco-terrorism by armed Kuki militants infiltrating from Myanmar to promote and protect illegal poppy cultivations and an illicit drug trade in the hill areas. You see, I was taught back in the day that, always follow the money. The money trail ends up leading you somewhere. And right here, you not just have the money trail, you also have the poppy cultivation and the farm, the cultivation area. It's so huge in Manipur. Do you think at the center is actually the money that the entire Golden Triangle and the shadow that falls on Manipur is building and is creating, is generating via poppy cultivation?
Well, when we talk about the Golden Triangle, of course, which encompasses areas in Myanmar as well, it's been a long ongoing battle. It's a battle not only against
armed Kuki narco-terrorism. See, again using that
you
word.
Should understand that a lot of insurgent groups have been using narcotics to fund their weapons purchases. So this is the connection between it. And then the other issue is that the funding of these weapons does not happen on this side itself, it happens on the other side of the border as well. And the way it is being carried out, of course, is with this completely in place, where we in fact see how the narcotics issue is a big issue, because Manipur is also close to this triangle, and the influence of that triangle is there in Manipur, we cannot deny it. But this is just one of the issues that in fact govern the entire conflict as such. The poppy cultivation issue in Manipur is something that we have to in fact take into account, where in as one of the factors, not the factor, but one of the factors that is also keeping this thing alive, because that means moving of people to protect these poppy cultivations, these illegal poppy cultivations, possibility of firings happening because of that. So that is also something that is worrisome, but it is one of the factors that we have to look into this. But also let me bring your attention to something else, Kabir. In the Hindu, the second paragraph, Amit Shah appeals for 15-day peace in Manipur. There is a very interesting statement. It says, the centre is likely to announce a judicial enquiry commission headed by a retired Supreme Court judge to probe the violence in Manipur. This is what Muan Thombing, General Secretary of the Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, ITLF, has in fact spoken to the Hindu. So they are quoting him saying that, so there is a probability of a judicial commission or a judicial enquiry commission being formed under the auspices of a retired judge to find out how this violence was perpetrated, what could have been the reasons for the violence. So all these things. So it looks like the ITLF has put that demand in front of the Home Minister on this, and probably he has given some hints that probably they can look into probability of constituting
a positive couple of first hours for the Home Minister in Imphal.
A lot of positive. In fact, we do see that though cases of sporadic violences are there, it's not the kind of violence that we are seeing when he's there. So it looks like the people who have been, in fact, pushing this violence or also have taken a back step. They're trying to give peace a chance, and the Home Minister is meeting the stakeholders across civil society members, Kuki leaders, as well as Methi leaders. They're trying to, in fact, bring some kind of peace in the meantime. He's, in fact, asking for a 15-day peace as well, so that they can restore things in place.
Because I'll tell you what, I'm reading a continuation from the top page. It says, a tribal forum seeks total separation from Manipur. This is in the Times of India, and there's a picture of Amit Shah with a women's delegation in Manipur that took place yesterday. Had a fruitful discussion with the members of different civil society organizations. They expressed their commitment to peace and assured that we would together contribute to paving the way to restore normalcy in Manipur. Jitendra Ning Gomba of the Coordinating Committee on Manipur Integrity said his organization and representatives of the Mera Paibis, the women activists, requested Amit Shah during their meeting in Imphal to take appropriate measures to protect the territorial and administrative integrity of the state, besides immediate abrogation of the centre and the state government's ceasefire with Kuki militants outfits accused of fueling the violence.
Well, it looks like it is a very tough situation that is being looked at, and hope, I think, that we should now, in fact, leave for these peace negotiations to run its course and probably see what best can be done.
The Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, the ITLF, Varghese.
Yes, I was in fact quoting from one of
the ITLF Secretary, Muan Thombing, said his group demanded total separation from Manipur and President's rule for the time being, citing collapse of law and order.
So, President's rule is something that has been demanded by most of the tribal groups, saying that there should be President's rule, but a separate administration is possible, but I don't think so. Something that would affect the integrity of Manipur would be something on the centre's plate as well. It would be looking at some kind of autonomous way of dealing with administration in the hill regions, but of course in the long term we cannot be on this path as such. And hopefully, let's see if what will be the case.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and watch. Again, for all the viewers out there, for people that are joining our stream, I know that it's a sensitive issue, and anger and passion over what's really happening in Manipur is allowed and about. It's on social media. People can't stop texting about it, can't stop chatting about it. But one must understand, like Varghese put it out there, patience has to be the key, and dialogue is the only way forward. Losing lives and bloodshed, certainly not. On the other hand, even as we've got sportsmen, Mirabai Chanu and Arjuna Wadis and Padma Wadis in Manipur that are, saying that we're going to give our medals back. They've really come out in protest. The wrestlers and the entire WFI, the protest against the WFI and its chief, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and its tussles with the Delhi police, and what happened on the inauguration of the parliament that particular day on the 28th, their move towards Rishikesh at Har Ki Pauri, where they were going to immerse their medals in River Ganga. It seems like Ganga Ma will have to wait for her verdict at this point in time, because the Khap Panchayats, the farmer unions, the BKU has stepped in. Naresh Tikait, he went and visited the wrestlers in Rishikesh, and he's given them some sort of assurance. He's taken those medals, so that immersion of medals has been delayed, and this is how the newspapers are putting it, folks. They're saying wrestlers have delayed immersion of medals after Tikait's appeal. Police is saying they can't protest at the India Gate. The minute they left Jantar Mantar, the entire camp that they had sort of set up, that was entirely, they were detained. Several supporters were detained, and that camp was completely evacuated. On the other hand, the BKU, and we've spoken about this earlier as well, Varghese. We saw pictures of the Singhu border, of the Ghazipur border, of police barricading, the police deployment in those areas, the sheets of nails that were spread across the roads. It all indicated and brought back the memory of the farmers' protest. And now the BKU has threatened to gheer out Delhi borders on the 5th of June.
Well, I'm looking
Where
at
is this headed?
That is what I'm looking at the Tribune as now, and what the Tribune says is that they've quoted Sakshi Malik, and as to your question as to where it could be headed, maybe the Tribune has an answer from that quote of Sakshi Malik. She says, "The medals are our lifeline. After immersing these in the Ganga, we will start a fast unto death at India Gate." So right now it looks like there's a pause on this because, of course, the immersion of the medals have been delayed right now with the Tikait brothers also getting involved in it. But this has struck a chord with people in Haryana and Punjab. This has, in fact, also resulted in this entire thing being played out. And then in fact, what it says is, in the Tribune, it says, accompanied by hundreds of their supporters, the wrestlers, including Olympic medalists Sakshi Malik, Bajrang Punia, and Asian Games gold medalist Vinesh Fogart arrived at Har Ki Pauri to protest the alleged inaction against Wrestling Federation India chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who was being accused of sexually harassing several women grapplers. So probably this.
There's a picture of the wrestlers clasping their medals at Haridwar's Har Ki Pauri.
I think that is the same pictures there in
precisely.
Most of the papers.
That's exactly
as well.
the visuals that we're showcasing,
Right.
and
they're
running right behind us as well. Tuesday morning, this is what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Wrestlers announced that they will immerse their medals in Ganga, followed by fast unto death at the India Gate. At about 5:55 to 7 o'clock in the evening yesterday, tearful wrestlers reached Har Ki Pauri in Rishikesh in hundreds. In terms of numbers, hundreds of people surrounding them in support, raising Bharat Mata Ki Jai and Nyay Do, give justice, and all those kinds of slogans. At about 7:20 to 7:30, this 10-minute period is when the BQ delegation arrives at the spot. The wrestlers hand over the medals to Naresh Tikait, the visuals that you're seeing over there. Now, the farmers have also entered the fray. Interestingly, it's a beautiful way of putting it that, we've got our wrestlers that think that it's the most safest place, the safest haven for them is with the sons of the soil, our farmers, the backbone of the country. It's with the Kisans. And their might and power is also something that's no news to anybody. We've seen it happen in recent history.
So also let me take your attention to this medal immersion that was being talked about. The Tribune has in fact said that it's an episode reminiscent of the 1960 incident in which boxer Muhammad Ali threw Olympics gold into Ohio in protest against racial discrimination in the United States. So this has a history, and probably we were seeing that replay. I'll just, just alluding to it, there was a poetry that was written by Muhammad Ali regarding this particular aspect of it, why he had to throw it. I just got a few lines of it. I'll just read it out for those who were interested in a little bit of literature.
Muhammad Ali, back in the day, also threw his medal.
Well, that is
in protest against.
There are two versions to it. The popular thing is that he threw because but some say that he misplaced it also. But let's take on the emotional version for now, because that's where the poetry and literature.
So he threw his medal for
because of racial discrimination in
Raci-
1960. That is
in protest,
in protest
against
against racial
racial
discrimination. US.
discrimination. All right.
So just a few lines from that, from his poetry on that particular. To make America the greatest is my goal. So I beat the Russian and I beat the Pole. And for USA won the medal of gold. He felt shamed, shocked, and lonesome. He threw the gold medal in a river. So some of the lines from that poet. I mean, people can in fact look.
Do you think the message and the emotional quotient that they're trying to attract the wrestlers, they're being successfully able to do that? Are they being able to put their message across to the people?
See, to an extent, a lot of people are in fact wanting to know what exactly happened.
If I were to go to Connaught Place today, if I were to ask, let's say, take a sample survey of, let's say, 150 people, ask them, do you even know why the wrestlers are protesting? How many do you think would be able to come up with an answer?
I think a lot of women will be able to come up with an answer. I think a lot of women are following the story. A lot of women have been following a lot of stories, especially regarding the death of the murder that happened in Delhi.
Right.
The wrestler story is also something they have been following up with. So a lot of women have been following this story as such, and many of them have spoken about whether this is true or not, whether you should have gone straight away. But an FIR has been filed, if my memory is right. An FIR being filed, and therefore no action being taken is something that.
And how the Delhi police, conducted its investigation in the initial days is something that's also been, frowned upon. You've got Swati Malewal, you've got several other, dignitaries and politicians that have lent support. Let's quickly take a look at some reactions. We've got political reactions because, like I mentioned earlier, in the beginning of the show, how do Indian politicians not politicize anything that's happening under the sun? We could politicize the process of photosynthesis as well. But what does Mamata Banerjee here say? And what is Naresh Tiketh, the person who visited Har Ki Pauri and in that 10-minute window was able to somehow give them the wrestlers assurance, and they've given their medals to Naresh Tiketh. Let's take a look at these two political reactions and we'll come back for more.
जो हमारा कुश्तीगीर है, वो लोगों ने उसको इतना पिटाया, इतना उसका साथ मारपीट किया कि हमारा देश का सम्मान आज मिट्टी में लुट गया. तो मैंने वो लोगों के साथ बात किया था दोपहर को कि मैं बोला कि आप लोगों के साथ में हम लोग हैं और आपका पूरा हम सपोर्ट करेंगे. आप जो मेडल जीता वो तो आपका परफॉर्मेंस के लिए, देश के लिए, वो मेडल आपका गौरव का बात है. तो आप मूवमेंट कीजिए, हम भी हमारा आपका साथ है, हम भी सॉलिडारिटी पूरा है. हम कल हमारा यूथ मिनिस्टर को, स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर को बोला है कि कल थोड़ा स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन को लेके एक रैली बनाए सॉलिडारिटी जनाने के लिए हाजरा मोड़ से रविंद्र सरोवर तक. टाइम क्या टाइम और विश्वास को पूछने से बता देंगे.
रणनीति क्या तो इनके साथ में जो ज्यादती हो रही, इनकी सुनाई नहीं हो रही. इन्होंने वहाँ से हरिद्वार में कहा भाई इसमें जो मेडल है ये विसर्जित करेंगे, तो हमें भी पता लगा, हमने साथ में इन्होंने बड़ा सम्मान रखा हमारा भी.
Well, so we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens as the wrestlers have delayed their immersion of medals after Naresh Tiketh's appeal. Moving on to this really interesting news that I picked up, Varghese. It says our neighbor China has sent a 3-person crew. China has sent a 3-person crew, including the country's first civilian, to go to space. There are some visuals, some pictures that have come before the launch actually took place. It's Xi Jinping's eternal dream. By 2030, China is aiming for a manned moon mission.
Well, China has been looking outside the borders of this world, and China has had successful space programs as well, and it has a 2030 agenda to reach the moon and a manned mission probably to the moon. And to reach the moon, it would be this probably, if they even have a landing on the moon, if a person from China does in fact step onto the moon, it will be the second nation from after the United States to have a person landed on the moon. So it is a successful country that has been looking at the space race. Initially, it was a space race that we had seen, especially on manned space missions. We had only the Soviet Union then, and Russia, which is sparingly using its manned missions right now. And now it looks like China has entered that club, and probably we are looking at China being a good destination for space tourism as well.
It's a 6-month long mission. I just want to know what might be going inside the mind of this civilian. How is this civilian picked up? Because had this been an Elon Musk project, it would be front page news. You'd know what kind of training this person has undergone. But since it's coming from China, it's suddenly it just comes up onto the scene. You've got this person who's like nervously shaking his hand and telling the world that I'm going to go to space. He's half scared. He doesn't know what's coming his way. But hey, it's Xi Jinping's eternal dream, and let's not forget, it's the third time he's been elected as the leader of the state. So we'll have to see what really happens. Take a look at that. I'm telling you, he's not totally confident about going up there in space, let alone spending 6 months at this station, even as the crew takes rotation. But we're running short of time here. There's one more thing that happened in the morning, not here in the newspapers per se, but Rahul Gandhi, he is in California. He was in San Francisco. We earlier saw visuals of Rahul Gandhi who reached there and was greeted by the diaspora over there. He's slated to hold a lecture at the Stanford University. He's going to later meet with lawmakers. He's also going to meet with the US think tank in Washington, D.C. But there are some statements, some comments that he's made already. He's saying that the RSS and the BJP are controlling all political tools of communication in India. He's spoken about the restless protest. He's spoken about the murder here. He's really made it contemporary, brought up the recent news points, sitting in San Francisco, even as Prime Minister Modi's rising stature is something that people are talking about, And I'm not trying to compare the two leaders, even as that's what everybody does on, TV shows, or if you're sitting inside a studio. That's not the point over here. The point is that you've got a man who's gone out there and with all the vinamrata, because I was listening to him in the morning, there's a lot of patience that he is showcased there as well. Let's play out some of those reactions, some of those bites. Let's listen into what Rahul Gandhi has said. It's part of his 10-day US tour. Take a look.
The best way for me to explain that is the line, Nafrat ke bazaar mein mohabbat ki dukaan. That is the best way I can say it, which is that it is felt most strongly by the Muslim community, okay, because it is done most directly to them. But in fact, it is being done to all minorities. I can guarantee you that the same way you are feeling attacked, I can guarantee you my Sikh brothers are feeling the same thing. I can guarantee you my Christian brothers are feeling the same, sisters are feeling the same thing, right? I can guarantee you the Dalit community is feeling the same thing, tribal community is feeling the same thing, right? In fact, anybody who is poor in India today, right, when he looks at the extreme wealth that a limited number of people have, in some way he feels the same thing that you feel, that what is going on? How is it that these 5 people have lakhs of crores and I have nothing to eat, right? So you feel it most because it is directed at you most aggressively. But it is a phenomena that is taking place against everybody in India, right? And you cannot cut hatred with hatred. It's impossible. There's a huge distortion. India is not what the media shows. The media likes to show, a particular narrative. It likes to promote a particular narrative. That is actually not what is going on in India, right? It was very clear to me in the yatra. It's in the media's interest to project these things. It helps the BJP, right? So don't think that everything you see in the media is the truth. And as a young person, your country needs you, right? And your skills and your energy will be very useful to your country. So if you feel like going back, do go back and help out.
History is witness, Varghese, every time Rahul Gandhi, attends a conference somewhere outside on foreign soil, it just comes back to bite him in the back. That's what usually ends up happening. I'm just waiting to see if there's something that he said that we've missed and the BJP is going to pick up on, and it's going to be a huge hit on his credibility yet again. It was the Bharat Jodo Yatra, then he uttered those words, led to the disqualification. Now the Congress has sort of like gained a little bit more momentum and steam vis-a-vis the Karnataka election victory and some of those elections that are right around the corner, and Congress has a fair greater hold compared to elections that took place last year. But will this come back to bite him in the back?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because now the battle is for the diaspora now, Kabir. So
yeah, it's a diaspora battle, because I've been saying it from day one. It's the money that the NRIs are sending back home, and that's what really helps the central government. We're going to wrap this show up. It has been a riveting conversation with Varghese every day. No cup of teas today, but a lot of news to essentially consume. I hope you like this process of how we're trying to delve away from the newsroom, trying to bring you into this, a decision-making process. We appreciate everybody who's gotten in the comment section below. Let us know what you felt like. And we put out this poll up there. What's your top headline of the day? And it seems like the Manipur situation has bagged it again. 83% going for the Manipur situation. Restless protest, 5%. Rahul Gandhi targeting Prime Minister Modi, another 5%. And none of the above. 7 people not interested. Maybe those people would be interested in how China sent their first civilian up in space, even if the space race is something that people have to deal with. What all do you focus on? Do you focus on what's happening in Manipur, the upcoming elections that are happening, the humanitarian causes, and things that are happening across the globe, the infighting in Sudan? Or do you take a look at the space race, even as the artificial intelligence chatbots, they are getting into a drinking problem as well. So much to consume, so much to work on. That's all the time we have for you. This is me, Kabir Naqvi, signing off. Varghese Abraham, many thanks for joining us here on this particular show. Do stay tuned with us. Also, of course, I'm going to be hitting Jantar Mantar at about 2 p.m. today to speak to the tribal students here in the national capital. If you're around, do tune in and log in. That's all the time we have for you right now. Keep it with News9 Live.